Donald Trump, en lo que lleva de mandato, ha emprendido un par de cruzadas muy poco inteligentes. Tenemos, por ejemplo, su pelea por el Golfo de América, que claramente a él no le gusta que la llamen así. También tenemos la pelea comercial más tonta del mundo y actualmente tenemos una pelea con Jasmine Crockett. Jasmine Crockett es una abogada y actualmente pertenece a la Cámara de Representantes. Y a Donald Trump ella no le cae nada bien. Y comenzaron a amenazarla, pero no comenzó Donald Trump, sino que al principio todo vino de parte de Pam Bondi, la actual fiscal general de todo Estados Unidos. Pero Jasmine nunca se quedó callada y siempre siguió expresando lo que sentía, lo cual no le gustaba para nada a Donald. Así que actualmente las amenazas vienen por parte de él. Y esto lo podemos ver en un video que él mismo publicó en su red social, lo cual me parece muy poco inteligente porque la última vez que Jasmine Crockett le respondió a Donald Trump, lo dejó en vergüenza frente a todo el Congreso. Así que se me hace muy carente de inteligencia volver a provocar a esta mujer. Pero antes de mostrarles las amenazas de Donald Trump, la respuesta que ha tenido, quiero mostrarles qué desencadenó todo. Así que quiero que vean este fragmento de la intervención de Jasmine Crockett en el Congreso.
Today is nothing more than a dog and pony show for Republicans to avoid facing the American people for their trash policies that are killing the economy and our democracy. Despite Republicans' claim of backing the blue and being the party of law and order, we're here today because Republicans are willing to throw our country's top law enforcement agents under the bus to appease Trump and execute his political vengeance. Now, I know remembering things is hard for some of my colleagues on the other side of the aisle, like remembering not to add reporters into a signal chat discussing military war plans. But let me remind my colleagues that it was Trump who decided to store national secrets and classified documents next to his oversized bathtub and toilet at Mar-a-Lago. It was Trump who took the documents out of the boxes and shared them with his guests. It was Trump who told his staff to move the boxes when the FBI was coming. And it was Trump who appointed Director Christopher Wray as head of the FBI, the same director that allowed the investigation to move forward. As much as Trump and Republicans hate to accept it, we are still a country with laws. And when you break them, there are consequences. Now, make no mistake, we should all be concerned about the FBI. But my concerns as ranking member of this subcommittee, as a member of Congress, and as an attorney, as well as a citizen, are based on things called facts. And when I say facts, I mean clear, indisputable facts, not those alternative facts my Republican colleagues continue pushing onto the American people. So let's talk about facts. Fact. Even prior to being confirmed by the Senate, Kash Patel was directing officials within the FBI to fire members within the Bureau simply because they worked on the lawful investigations into Trump. Fact, Patel failed to disclose his previous work and financial ties with the country of Qatar, a country that, had you read the Mazars report, released last year by the House Oversight Committee, you would know paid close to $500,000 to Trump while he was president of the United States. Unsurprisingly, the FBI's Foreign Influence Task Force was recently disbanded, and the DOJ also cut back on its Foreign Agents Registration Act enforcement. Our enemies are jumping up and down now that we're doing their work for them. Another fact, Patel has never even been an FBI agent and is now leading the Bureau. Even one of today's Republican witnesses organizations, the Bureau, has advocated having an FBI agent lead the Bureau. But rather than confirm a director with credible, dedicated experience, the Republicans confirmed a political loyalist with no Quantico or FBI training. Talk about DEI. Didn't earn it higher. Another fact, Patel, who rails against telework, what he calls lazy agents, was working part-time in and out of Las Vegas, commuting back and forth between there and DC, while also living in the home of a GOP mega donor. Think about that for a second. Could you imagine what Republicans would have done had, say, James Comey had been living in New York part-time as the FBI director, and if his New York home was owned by, say, George Soros? Speaker Johnson would have forced a floor vote on articles of impeachment within days of this news coming out. But nevertheless, my Republican colleagues are willing to sacrifice safety for stupidity as long as it's loyal.
A MAGA no le gusta que señalen sus mentiras ni hipocresías, lo cual impacta mucho pues son muy evidentes. Pero especialmente a Donald Trump no le gusta que esas mentiras salgan a la luz. Por eso hace pocos días publicó un video de Janie Pirro, la jueza Janie Pirro, perdón, en la que básicamente estaba amenazando a Jasmine Crockett. Como pueden ver, él mismo publicó este video.
Let me explain something to you. This woman, Jasmine Crockett, and I want you all to affirm the fact that I said in January, she's the one to watch this year. It's loony. Okay, she comes out and says, for my birthday, I want to see Elon Musk taken down. And that's the day of the big event on March 29th. Now, she better be very careful. And you don't pick a fight with the Attorney General of the United States, and you do not say to the Attorney General of the United States, your boss is basically a jerk. Okay? Because then the Attorney General is in a position where she has to defend her boss. Jasmine Crockett is not too bright. We already know that because she couldn't read the statute that she was trying to interpret when she's in the business of drafting legislation. But enough said on that. What the left is doing is they are destroying property, jobs, pensions, and portfolios. And this Jasmine Crockett, if she opposes the destruction of property, then she ought to damn say it.
Todos los días MAGA, o sea, el movimiento Make America Great Again, oscila entre si le importa o no le importa el lenguaje exacto. ¿Qué es el lenguaje exacto? Pues usar sus palabras y usar el significado literal de las palabras. Ya que la jueza Pirro está tratando de agarrar ciertas palabras que dijo Jasmine Crockett para hacerla ver como que ella quiere que ataquen a Estados Unidos. Pero lo interesante es que si se enfocan tanto en que ciertas palabras significan esto y que hablar de una forma puede hacer daño y que cambiar las palabras no significa nada, porque hace unos días que el señor Pete Hegseth, el secretario de Defensa de Estados Unidos, que evidentemente envió planes de guerra, decidieron cambiarlo y decir que no, que él no envió planes de guerra, él envió planes de ataque y que eso es muy diferente. Claro, cuando les convienen, ciertas palabras significan otra cosa, ¿verdad? Cuando no, quieren cambiarlo y que signifique lo peor. Primero que todo, sí son planes de guerra. Siguiente, a ellos solo les importa presentar lo que más le convenga, evidentemente. Y actualmente Donald Trump no tolera a Jasmine Crockett, ya que esta señora no es tonta, no se queda callada y lo saca de quicio, ya que Donald Trump odia que la gente opine en contra de sus opiniones, valga la redundancia. Actualmente Donald Trump prácticamente está faltándole a la ley, amenazando a alguien que representa en la Cámara de Representantes justamente, porque obviamente no va a pasar nada porque es Donald Trump. Si esto estuviera haciendo cualquier demócrata, ya sea Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, los mismos republicanos estuvieran diciendo ¿cómo es posible que estén haciendo esto? Estuviera Donald Trump en un video diciendo que le parece una falta de respeto, que los planes de guerra son planes de guerra, no son planes de ataque, y que lo que están haciendo está mal. Pero como lo están haciendo ellos, obviamente no van a decir eso. Las palabras que podría decir actualmente es que Donald Trump está teniendo abuso de poder. Y el senador Adam Schiff llevó una audiencia hablando sobre esto. En esta misma audiencia hizo una crítica muy impactante y directa a Donald Trump. Así que te ruego que le prestes atención.
Man who had been deported in violation of a judge's order. And the department's response to this gross miscarriage of justice was not to accept responsibility or to take urgent action to correct the problem and seek the man's return. No, the department's response was to punish the department's own lawyer for speaking truthfully to the court, for what it deemed an act of insubordination, for failure to give full-throated defense to the department's illegal act. This is why we are here today. We are here today because the rule of law and democracy in the United States is under attack. Not by a foreign adversary or some distant threat. The rule of law is being attacked and subverted from within, from an administration intoxicated by its own power and enabled by a supine Congress. To our Donald Trump is taking unprecedented steps to bend our justice system to his will, and his administration is moving systematically and swiftly to dismantle the legal pillars that hold up our democracy, the independence of the legal system, the idea of impartial justice, the right to counsel, and the principle that no one, not even a president, is above the law. If Donald Trump and his personal criminal defense lawyers now running the Justice Department succeed, the consequences will be profound. The impact will be felt by Americans from all walks of life and by future generations. This is why Ranking Member Raskin and I have taken the extraordinary step of convening this unprecedented hearing. We brought together both chambers of Congress, the Senate and the House, to conduct real oversight and to serve as a check and balance, to hold those who misuse power to account and to carry out our constitutional duty. Convening this hearing was not our first choice. We have tried to get our Republican colleagues to hold hearings, to do meaningful oversight, to assert Congress's authority as an independent branch of government. But to our great disappointment, our Republican colleagues have abdicated that important responsibility. They have stood by as the President has run roughshod over the legislative branch and turned Congress into little more than a rubber stamp. So today we'll hold the first of what we hope will be more bicameral oversight hearings. We will do the investigative work that our colleagues across the aisle refuse to do. We will expose the illegality, abuse, and corruption of this administration and within the Department of Justice. We will have brave witnesses speak to what's actually happening behind closed doors, how the Trump administration continues to try to intimidate them from speaking out, and why it matters to Americans across the country. The Trump administration is following a well-worn playbook. History serves as a guide and as a warning. In the 1930s, a Jewish lawyer in Berlin tracked in meticulous detail how Germany gradually became what he called a dual state. First, to keep the country running, the ordinary legal system remained in place for most people. And yet, step by step, a parallel system of governance and law emerged, what one scholar called a lawless zone. A parallel system carry out the will of the leader and to go after his enemies, real or perceived, to punish, to reward, to co-opt, to intimidate, silence, or take over institutions that make a society free and vibrant, the courts, the lawyers, the universities, the press, even businesses. And over time, the emerging authoritarianism would swallow what remained of the rule of law. And now Hungary provides a more present-day warning. Methodically, Viktor Orbán has tried to dismantle the independence of Hungary's judicial system, its education system and free press, undermining democracy while pretending to uphold the law. And we have our own history that we must not forget. In the 1950s, in this very institution, Senator Joseph McCarthy and his enablers wielded the power of the government to go after perceived enemies. Many shamefully did not stand up at the time. Some chose expediency, political gain, or profit. Others thought they could weather the storm by cutting deals or staying silent. If this sounds all too eerily familiar, it is because it is.
A mí me alegra bastante saber que Estados Unidos está alzando su voz en queja de lo que está pasando. Yo no estoy ni en contra ni a favor de Donald Trump, ni de los demócratas, ni de los republicanos, ni de nadie. Mi único deber es traerte las noticias todos los días. Tenerte informado para que siempre sepas lo que está pasando en Estados Unidos. Recuerda, no tengo ninguna preferencia. Si el día de mañana Donald Trump hace las cosas muy bien, te lo voy a decir y sin problema. Pero lo que sí te puedo decir actualmente es que la representación que tiene Estados Unidos frente al mundo está muy mal. Antes de irme quisiera que me pongas en los comentarios algo muy importante. Quiero comenzar a no solo subtitular mis videos, sino que traducirlos con una inteligencia artificial, para lo cual tendré que invertir un poco de dinero, pero lo importante es saber, ¿prefieres leerlos o prefieres escucharlos en español? Me encantaría tener tu respuesta en los comentarios para saber si hago o no hago este cambio en la semana que viene. Y sin nada más que decir, muchas gracias por ver el video hasta el final. Recuerda que mi nombre es José Alvarado, soy economista y estoy comprometido a informarte todos los días. Además, si quieres seguir actualizado de todas las noticias estadounidenses, puedes continuar viendo este video. Es más, nos vemos ahí, ¿qué te parece? Adiós.